Yo guys, it's your boy Dylan, and today we're going to be predicting week 4 of the 2024 NFL season. Now today's just me because my dad's taking an off day because his predictions are kind of iffy right now. They're kind of iffy. So we're not going to waste any more time. We're going to get right into it. Starting off with the Cowboys and Giants. Both teams are 1-2 on the season. The Cowboys, they have lost back-to-back games, while the Giants, they did pick up a win against the Cleveland Browns in week 3. Now, here's the deal. I am going with the Cowboys in week 4. But if the Cowboys lose, I am going to be gratefully disappointed, and you will hear out of me in week 5. So Cowboys, you better win this one. You better win. I'm serious. Moving on to the Bengals and Panthers. Now, Andy Dalton is going to be playing in week 4 against the Bengals in week 4. And Andy Dalton was one of the reasons why the Panthers did get their first win of the 2024 season. So congratulations to the Panthers. The Panthers, they are projected to be like the worst team again. But I'm going to go bold here. I'm going to go very bold. This is another week where I'm going to start going a little bold here. So watch out for a couple bold picks right here. I'm saying the Panthers are going to beat the Bengals, and the Panthers will go back up to 500. Okay? That's already a bold one right there. Moving on to the Saints and Falcons. The Saints, they did lose to the Eagles to go 2-1 after their week 3 loss to the Eagles. As for the Falcons, they did lose to Kansas City in week 3, which, you are going to lose a couple games. I do think for the Saints, though, after losing one, they will rebound and they will improve to a 3-1 record. I am going with the Saints for week 4. Moving on to the Jaguars and Texans. What is going on with the Jaguars right now? The Jaguars, they are not playing their best football. It's like ever since the late 2023-24 season, the Jaguars, they have not been a good team. They've basically gone back to their losing ways. As for the Texans, after starting off 2-0, they did take a loss last week. Unfortunately, you are going to have to lose a few games. You can't win every game. You're going to have to lose a couple. I will say that a few times, probably a couple times in this video. So be prepared for that. But I am going with the Texans to rebound and the Jaguars to fall to an 0-4 record. Moving on to the Broncos and Jets. The Broncos, they are one of a couple teams that I am going to talk about that did get their first win of the 2024 season. The Broncos, they beat the Buccaneers in week 4. As for the Jets, after starting off 0-1, they have been winning since. Aaron Rodgers has actually been doing solid. So I am going to go with the Jets for week 4, and the Jets will improve to a 3-1 record. Moving on to the Vikings and Packers, the battle of the 3-0 teams. The Colts, they are doing not the Colts. The Packers, they're doing really good right now without Jordan Love, and the Vikings, they're doing really good with Sam Darnold. They are doing really good right now. I'm surprised how the Vikings are doing. So here's what could be another bold pick right here. I mean, I wouldn't really call it bold if they're going to be playing this way. I'm saying the Vikings are going to start their season 4-0, and the Packers will take their first or second loss of the year. Moving on to the Steelers and Colts. The Colts, they were another one of those teams that did get their first win of the season this past week. As for the Steelers, they are already off to a 3-0 start. So that's another team I'm actually surprised that they're actually doing really good right now. I'm saying they're going to start 4-0. They're going to start 4-0, and the Colts will go back to their losing ways. Moving on to the Rams and Bears. The Rams, they are another team that did get their first win this past week. As to where the Bears, unfortunately, these last 2 weeks, they have been losing games. But I do think the Bears are going to rebound in week 4, and they will even things right back to 200. Moving on to the Eagles and Buccaneers. The Eagles, after losing in week 2, they did bounce back in week 3, and they did get up to a 2-1 record. I mean, you can't start the season every year 5-0, 10-0, all that stuff. So, you're going to need to lose a couple games. But moving on to the Bucks, the Buccaneers, after starting 2-0, they got on the losing column. And with me picking for the Eagles, with me sticking with the Eagles for week 4, the Buccaneers will fall to a .500 record. As for the Eagles, they'll be on back-to-back games with wins. Moving on to the Patriots and 49ers, both teams are 1-2 on the season. The Patriots, well, that's kind of expected by the Patriots. As to where the 49ers, they have a couple injuries that will put a dent in their season. They're 1-2, and injuries like Christian McCaffrey, I believe George Kittle's also injured. I don't think he's injured, but I do think Samuel Debo, however you pronounce his name, the 49ers, they have a couple injuries which involves good players that will cost them. But I do think in week 4, they will rebound. I have confidence in the 49ers that they will rebound in week 4 and they will get the dub. And the Patriots will fall to 1-3. Moving on to the Commanders and Cardinals. The Commanders, they had an offense in week 3 to beat the 0-2, which they're now 0-3 Bengals, for them to get their first win. And hey, technically, if you look on the standings on Google, they're technically tied for first place. Or not first place. Actually, I don't know. I think they're down there. They're actually down there. I could be thinking of another team. Yeah, I'm probably thinking of another team. I don't know. I think. But the Cardinals, though, unfortunately, after winning week 2, they lost week 2. But I do think they're going right back up to 500 for week 4. Also, if you hear my dog whining, he's whining right now. Moving on to the Chiefs and Chargers. Unfortunately, the Chargers, they did suffer their first loss back in week 3 of the season. But the Chiefs, though, here's one thing I am concerned, and this even goes back to last year with the Chiefs. The Chiefs, although this is actually their best start, this is actually their first 3-0 start since the 2020 season. Mahomes, interception after interception after interception after interception. In my opinion, I think that's a concern for Kansas City. Although I believe there are rumors set up Travis Kelce's bench, but Justin Herbert, at the same time, he's also injured too. But I am going to go bold here for week 4 with this pick. I'm going with the Chargers, just like with the Texans, just like with the Vikings. Well, I did pick the Vikings to win, or like the Packers and a couple others. You cannot win every game. You got to lose a couple. That's why I'm saying the Chargers will rack up the win. I think sometimes it's time for you to take a loss. Moving on to the Browns and Raiders. Unfortunately, the Browns, they lost last week. They lost to what will probably be like the worst team in the NFL. I wouldn't say the worst team, but one of the worst teams, the Giants. As for the Raiders, they got humiliated against the Panthers. I'm going to say with this week, I have the Browns beating the Raiders. The Raiders will fall to 1-3. As for the Browns, they'll climb back up to 500 again. Moving on with the Bills versus Ravens. Both quarterbacks they have the abilities to run. And even like a couple other quarterbacks that, like Mahomes and all that. But with the Bills quarterback with Josh Allen and the Ravens quarterback Lamar Jackson, both quarterbacks can run good. Or they can even run through you. Like they said on that commercial. But, I'm surprised with what the Bills are doing right now. The Bills, they're 3-0. And like I keep saying, they're doing this without Stephon Diggs. As to where the Ravens, they were 0-2 to start the season, but they were again one of the few teams that were able to finally get their first win. But another bold pick coming right here. I got the Bills winning week 4, and they're going to start 4-0. Dang, I got a couple teams that are starting 4-0, or that could be going 4-0. Time to eliminate a couple other teams. Moving on to the Titans and Dolphins. The Titans, well, they're 0-3, just like with the Jaguars and Bengals. They're unfortunately an 0-3 team. Unfortunately. So, that's not good. Again, they're going to be one of the worst teams in the NFL. As to where the Dolphins now, they don't they don't have Tua Tagovailoa, but they don't have Skylar Thompson. That is not good by the Dolphins. Now they're down to their third-ring quarterback. Here's a really bold pick right here. I'm going with the Titans to get their first one. I think it's time for someone else to get a win here. I'm going with the Titans to get a win here. Moving on to our last game. And by the way, we have 2 Monday night games. We have the Titans and Dolphins, and we have the Seahawks and Lions. Seahawks, another 3-0 team. As for the Lions, after losing week 2, they got back to the winning column in week 3, and they are 2-1 on the season. But I am going to be going with the Lions for week 4, and just like with the Chiefs, it's time for them to take a loss. And Packers do. It's time for them to take a loss. I'm saying the Lions will go to 3-1, while the Seahawks will fall to a 3-1 record. Now, here's the next part of this video right here. I have teams that are improving. This is the week that I am going to be starting the teams that are improving, or 3 teams that are crashing down. Or, 3 teams that are on the verge of decline. And again, there are a couple of surprising teams, honestly. So, starting off with the improving side, I'm actually going to, since, this video is actually short, I'll just jump back and forth between the two. Starting off with improving, I'm going to go with the Vikings. Like I said, they're doing this without J.J. McCarthy. For those of you that don't know, with the Vikings, J.J. McCarthy was initially going to be their starter. But, unfortunately, he's not the starter for the year. So Sam Darnold, he is just doing really good so far. And I'm actually proud of the Vikings. A 3-0 start. If they can keep this, if they can keep doing this, they could have a good season. They could be an NFC threat. So, like I said, good job on Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold. Congratulations, Sam Darnold. I would like to see you continue doing what you're doing, and maybe the Vikings could be a dangerous team after their collapse season last year. This could be a dangerous year for the NFC with the Vikings. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to move on to the declining side, starting off with the Titans. Well, the Titans, what do you expect? 0-3 for the Titans. So, yeah, that's all I got really say about the Titans. Moving on to the Bills. Like I said, with their 3-0 start with the Bills, they are doing this without Stephon Diggs. For those of you that don't, like I said, for those of you that don't know, and I know I keep repeating this, Stephon Diggs was actually like one of their biggest pieces back then for the Bills, and one of the threats for the receiving threats for the AFC as well, and one of the receivers that Allen would throw to, and he was actually getting career highs with the Bills, but now he's with the Texans, and Allen. Just like Mahomes, just like with the Chiefs, how, I was saying back then with the Chiefs, they're winning games without Tyreek Hill, or they're winning Super Bowls without Tyreek Hill. Well, apparently it appears that Josh Allen is actually winning games without Stephon Diggs. For all I know, we'll see how things go with the Bills. I would like to see, like I said, I would like to see them continue doing what they're doing. Maybe they'll be a really good team. Moving on to the Bengals. On the declining side, the Bengals, they're right in the middle. Unfortunately, losing to the Chiefs, that's one thing. That's one of the more reasonable losses. The Chiefs, they're a really good team. But when you lose to the Patriots and Commanders and starting 0-3, that is really, in my end, that's really concerning. And when I say concerning, I mean concerning by the Bengals. I could have actually put them at number 1, but, originally number 1 was actually going to be right up here, but, I guess that's how the way rolls, I guess. But still, this is not a good start by the Bengals. Normally we're used to the 0-2 starts. Yeah, that's what we're more used to when it comes to the Cincinnati Bengals. But starting 0-3, that is really concerning. By the way, they do not have Joe Mixon. That's probably one of the bigger pieces that they lost. So it's getting really concerning down in Cincinnati. And if they go 0-4, they could be number 1 on this list, on the declining side. And this is top 3 teams, by the way. So if you want to know now, you know. You know, I was going to put the Steelers, but what about the Seahawks, though? I have the Seahawks in this list, too. The Seahawks, they're doing really good right now. So keep it up, Seattle. And I don't know, maybe they could be another NFC threat. But like I said, in this week, I do have them losing a game. So, like I said, you can't win every game. But here's where we come up to the Jaguars. The Jaguars, this is the last team for declining. By the way, the Seahawks was the last team for the improving, but the last team for declining I have was the Jaguars. The Jaguars, well, first couple games were, competitive. But this last game to the Bills, they didn't even try. Like, when I say they didn't even try, they lost 47-10. Like, oh my gosh. 0-3. That is not good if you are a Jaguars fan. The Jaguars, they were supposed to be, ever since 2022, 23, they were actually, a playoff contender. And even for the most part in 2023, 24, in the first half of the season, they were literally playing like playoff contenders. But it's the second half of last season, leading up to now, they have just been losing games. And that is real. And I am really concerned for the Jaguars. Hopefully they can get a win. But again, at the same time, in my predictions, I have them losing to the Texans. So we'll just have to see how things go. Anyways, with that'll wrap it up for our week 4 predictions and teams that are going up and teams that are going down. But until then, if you guys want to see more NFL content like this, then smash the subscribe button, smash the like button, comment if you want to see something else, comment if you want to see a video where my dad does a prediction on his own. Until then, I will see you guys in the next video. Peace out.